Well, good morning, everybody. It's me, Mitch. And this morning, what I'm going to do is kind of an extension of the last video I made where I showed how I prepped individual meals, and I prepped some fish and I prepped some ribs and froze them in half racks, individual servings, and said that I was going to see if I couldn't figure out a way to actually cook these things as an individual serving without having to make 4 servings all at once in the oven that takes 3 or 4 hours using the air fryer. So today, I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to use the Z-Star air fryer, and I've got this beautiful half rack of really meaty pork, baby back ribs, and I'm going to cook it in the Z-Star over here. And all I'm going to use for seasoning on this is some of this Malden smoked salt, which I get from Amazon. And I'd be remiss if I didn't remind you all that on my website at oldguycarnivore.com, there's a page called Stuff I Use. And there's links to virtually everything, all the different salts and supplements and kitchen appliances and gadgets and everything else. If you're interested in trying to be like Mitch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this rack of ribs here, and I'm going to generously coat it with this smoked sea salt. I do this over the sink. Make sure I get some of this on here. I know this sounds minimal, but these things have great flavor you don't need. And it's a mistake that so many people make in an effort to get sugar into them, in covering up the flavor, the real taste of meat, by covering it with sauces and rubs and spices and all of these things that really aren't good for us. And I always thought, why would you want to buy expensive meat and hide the flavor? I think the reason is that we never had a chance to really experience or appreciate the flavor of some of these meats, which is what attracted us to eat meat in the first place. So we're going to try this today. Now, I'm going to preheat the Z-Star. I want to preheat it and we're going to cook. I'm going to turn the range hood on too. We're going to cook these ribs at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. So there's no slow cooking involved. What I'm shooting for is not fall off the bone, but not tough either. I want to see if I can take a half rack of ribs, turn them into a delicious and satisfying meal without having to go through all of the usual smoking and grilling and long-term cooking of ribs, rubbing it with spices and doing all those other things. So another experiment, and we'll see how well it comes out. So we'll wait for the Z-Star to preheat, and we'll be back. Okay, air fryer's heated up. Preheating is done. We're going to Yes, it's hot. We're going to set it to air crisp. We want to use the air crisp setting, and it's 400 degrees at 20 minutes. I'm going to start with it meat side up on the grill, and we're going to flip it in 10 minutes. So we'll start the cooking process, and away we go. And we'll be back when it comes time to flip it. All right, it just beeped and it's time to flip them over. So let's see what they look like. Well, it's starting to cook. We're just going to flip them over here. Put a meat side down. Close the lid. We've got 10 minutes left. At the end of 10 minutes, I'll go ahead and check the temperature, the internal temperature of the ribs, make sure that they are cooked. And if they're high enough, and I imagine anything over 180, but that's just a guess. The final test is going to be when I cut them, take a bite out of them and see what the texture is and how tender they turned out. And if I have to, I'll put them back in for a few more minutes until we figure out exactly how long I need to cook a big fat slab of ribs like this to make them good in an air fryer and yet be able to do it a single serving at a time without a lot of fuss. So let's wait it out and we'll be back when they're done. Okay, we got about 2 minutes to go. I'm using the Z-Star air fryer today. It's been feeling a little ignored lately, and I really like it. One of the things I like about it is the glass front where I can actually see in and see what's cooking in there. I love the Ninja. I like them both. So many people have asked me, which one would I recommend? And I can't tell you. I'm a little disturbed that they raised the price of the Ninja so much. I'm hoping it'll come back down. And in that respect, as long as the Z-Star is available, it's probably maybe a better deal. The Ninja, I think maybe is built a little more substantially, but in the long run, I don't know whether that matters. What matters is how well it cooks and how easy it is to clean. And they're both easy to clean. The Ninja does have that screen over the top of the heating element, which does make that cleaning a little easier. But it's a toss-up. And I got tired of hearing my Z-Star sitting over there in the corner of the counter waving at me, hey, what about me? Don't forget about me because of the new kid on the block. So I decided to do it today. And speaking of the Z-Star talking to me, it just beeped and told me it was done. So let's open it up, take a look. Let me stick the thermometer in here into the meat. We're at 182 degrees, 190 degrees, so theoretically that should be hot enough. It should be done. So take this rack of ribs and move it over here to the cutting board. And now let's see how well it's done. So we will cut a rib and take a look. It's nice and juicy, very hot. I don't want to pick it up with my hands yet, but I do want to check it for doneness. So let me see if I can't cut off just a tiny little bit of meat here. Wow. That tastes great. I am really surprised. Really surprised. Perfect. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Well, that's a real treat. 20 minutes at 400 degrees in the Z-Star. Flip it halfway, and I'm sure the same thing would happen in the Ninja. And I've got a perfectly well done, well cooked, easy to eat baby back rib with only the smoked salt on it, and it tastes terrific. Always like to find faster, newer, and easier ways to cook these meals, especially if you're alone like me and only cooking for one. So unplug the air fryer. So with that, I think I'll go eat these. This will be my first meal of the day. No bacon and eggs today, but this ain't bad. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you might try this quick and easy way to make yourself a half a rack, probably 1.5 pounds of baby back ribs. More than enough for any meal, living this carnivore lifestyle. So I'm going to eat my ribs. You take the rest of the day off and eat meat.